Hello, Urate. How are you and how is everybody doing? Welcome to today's lesson, which will be figurative language, inshallah. Now, this lesson is very important, and I want you to really focus. And if you have any question, immediately ask me because figurative language, we're going to be dealing with it a lot throughout the whole year and the upcoming years, inshallah. So, it is a very important lesson in literacy and comprehension, and of course, when writing. Okay, so what is figurative language? Figurative language is when you use a word or phrase that does not have its normal, everyday, literal meaning. So when you say something figuratively, you don't mean it literally. For example, if someone wants to come up to you and tell you something and you say, "Hey, I'm all ears. I'm all ears." You're not literally an ear, are you? Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? So figuratively, you mean it figuratively. You don't mean it literally because you can't be an ear, can you? Okay, writers can use figurative language. Why? To make their work more interesting or more dramatic than literal language, which simply states the facts. And we have many kinds, but we are going to be focusing on a few of them. Okay, so a simile, and take care of the spelling. That is S-I-M-I-L-E. There is no I before the final E. Okay? A simile compares two dissimilar things to each other by using the words like and as. You compare two dissimilar things by using the words like or as. That's the key for when you have a simile. So two dissimilar things, like for example, when I say he is as red as a tomato, a person and a tomato don't look like each other, but there is some similarity between them in redness. Okay? And we're using the word here, we're using as. He is as red as a tomato. Okay? He is as strong as an ox. The ox, there's a similarity between an ox and that person, and it is in what? In the strength. They fought like cats and dogs. Here we're using like instead of as. So like and as both qualify for it to be a simile. Now, then we have hyperbole. A hyperbole is an exaggeration. When you exaggerate in something, a hyperbole exaggerates in order to put emphasis or a greater effect, to emphasize something, to make your point clear, or to have a greater effect. For example, when you say he runs faster than the wind. Technically, that's impossible. You can't run faster than the wind, can you? But what you want to emphasize here is that person was very fast. There are a million things to do. Miss, you gave us a million pages of homework. Okay, I didn't literally give you a million pages of homework, did I? But you're just exaggerating. You want to say, "Hey, miss, you gave us a lot of homework." Or you're as light as a feather. You're as light as a feather. Now, if you pay close attention to this example, you will realize that it has the same behavior as a simile. We have as. We're saying that this person is as light as a feather, but at the same time, it's a hyperbole because someone can be as light as a feather. It's impossible, not even a baby, right? So if some sentences you can find two or three things at the same time. You don't have to say, "Miss, well, is it a simile or hyperbole?" It's not an either or situation. If you're a good writer, you can do so many things with one sentence. Okay, so here it's a hyperbole because it's an exaggeration. You're saying she's so light, she's as light as a feather, right? But at the same time, you are comparing that person's weight to the weight of a feather. Okay, so if you were to choose, both answers would be correct. But always come to the closer meaning. When I have, usually a lot of students, when they ask me, I just say, come to the closer one. Some are very obvious. If it's a clear hyperbole, then just write hyperbole. Okay? Alliteration. Alliteration is another figure of speech that repeats the beginning sounds of neighboring words. Pay close attention to the beginning sound because sometimes you have a C and you have an S and you pronounce the C and S. So when you write them down, like C's and C's, okay? C's, C-E-A-S-E, and then you have C's, S-E-A-S, okay? You have the C in C's is pronounced like an S, so you have an S and an S, right? Sometimes you have a C that's pronounced like a K. So the spelling doesn't matter. What matters is the sound. Okay, so sheep should sleep in the shed. Sheep should sleep in the shed. We have sheep, should, right? And then we have shed over there. The words should be next to each other, or there should be only like about a word or two between them. Okay, so if you have an sh, a sh sound in the beginning of the sentence, and then you have one at the end of the sentence, you're not going to say that's alliteration. Okay, so they have to be neighboring or very close. Now, the upcoming one is a tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Okay, so tongue twisters are always alliteration because they're very difficult. They have the neighboring sounds, thus they are very difficult to pronounce. Okay. A big buck bit the little beetle, but the little beetle bit the big buck back. I know. Okay, so that's alliteration. Then you have a metaphor. Now, metaphors and similes are very close to each other because both of them compare things. However, a metaphor is used to compare like a simile does, except it does not have a connecting word. So you don't use like or has. Rachel was a brick wall and wouldn't listen to a word her friend said. Was Rachel literally a brick wall? No, it's figuratively. This is a metaphor. Here, you didn't say Rachel was like a brick wall. You said Rachel was a brick wall, right? So that's a metaphor. A metaphor is even stronger. It's even more expressive than a simile. Her long hair was a flowing golden river. Was her hair a golden river? No, it was not. Mike is a worker bee today. Is Mike a bee? No. What's your point? What do you want to say? I want to say he was very busy. Making chocolate chip cookies is a piece of cake. They're chocolate chip cookies. They're not a piece of cake, are they? There's another kind of food. But you just want to say what you want to say is it's pretty easy. I'm all ears, so go ahead and tell me about your day. Today was a roller coaster, but things have finally calmed down. The day was a roller coaster. It went up and it went down, and it went up and it went down. So it wasn't really a roller coaster, but that's how they are similar. Okay, personification. What is personification? Person. Just look at the word person at the beginning. Personification. Personification uses human qualities to describe non-living things or ideas. Non-living things or ideas when you give them features or you say something about them that only a human being would do. For example, the flowers dance in the wind. Flowers can't dance, can they? Only human beings dance. So when you say the flowers dance in the wind, it's like you're making that flower seem like a person, like a human. So that is personification. The sunflowers lifted their heads and looked at the sky. This advertisement speaks to me. The ad isn't really speaking to you. It doesn't have a mouth. It can't use language. But you feel like you made it like a person that is speaking to you and trying to convince you. The hair on my arm stood after the performance. Your hair doesn't have feet, does it? The sun kissed my cheeks when I went outside. Additionally, that picture says a lot. Again, pictures can't speak. You just want to say it's very expressive, so you made it seem as if a person was saying it. Then we have onomatopoeia, which uses words that make the sound of what they are describing. Onomatopoeia is basically the name of the sound. Some examples of this would be machine sounds such as zap or boing, and animal sounds such as moo, ribbit, any other animal sound you can think of, okay? So all of these are onomatopoeia. Other examples, let's look at the sentences. The dog growled menacingly at the strangers. You have onomatopoeia where at the word growled. The hail snapped small branches off the trees. Snapped. That's where your onomatopoeia is. The wind whooshed through the trees. It's almost like you can hear it whooshed through the trees. Snakes slither among the leaves. Snakes slither, right? Among the leaves. So your onomatopoeia is with slither. Last but not least, you have an oxymoron, which is a figure of speech pairing two words that are opposing and or contradictory. You put two words together and they're like the opposite of each other. Like, for example, saying, I did awfully good on the test. You did good. It was good. Why do you need to put awfully? It's the opposite, right? I did awfully good on the test, so they're like an opposite to each other. My sister and I were alone together. How can you be alone and yet have someone with you or say together? The two sisters looked almost exactly the same. So it's either exactly or almost. When you say exactly, it means exactly. So you put two words together that oppose each other or are contradicting to each other. That is sorry, an oxymoron. So similes, hyperbole, alliteration, metaphor, personification, onomatopoeia, oxymoron. If you take the first letter, of each of the type of figurative language, S, H, A, M, P, and then O and O, it gives you the acronym shampoo. Shampoo. I want you to bear that in your mind because it will make life a lot easier for us when we're writing. You just put shampoo in front of you and then remember, I need to put a simile, I need to put a metaphor, I need this. It'll help you when remembering when writing. All right? So this is the exercise. Underline and state the kind of figurative language in the sentences below. Remember, you will find some sentences that have personification and a simile or hyperbole and a simile. If you choose either or, it's absolutely fine. And that is basically it for today's lesson. All right. Thank you, year 8, and good luck. Any question? Contact me immediately.